Hi everyone, it's me, and today let's uncover this ARG together, alternate reality game. A trailer, a television. Don't believe, don't trust, don't confirm, don't accept, don't settle. Oh, this is all the past. Do the research. MacPad. Young MacPad. Game Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory. Hi.
Only show that can make a 15-minute video from 28 seconds of content. Actually,
Wow.
judging based on the length of this script, I'm gonna predict it's gonna be more, let's see, 18 and a half minutes? Best guess. And you know what? That's not an exaggeration either. Today's topic has only 28 seconds of content currently available as I write this. That's gotta be a new record for us, right? Theory on the least information possible. But remember, it's quality over quantity, and you can do a lot in 28 seconds, which is exactly what we're about to find out.
I just love it that he also mentioned like subtle hint, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok.
But first, a bit of backstory. As you're all well aware of by now, there have been a lot of content creators, both big and small, that have been inspired to make their own ARGs over the years. And
I agree with you. I was inspired to make an ARG for you as well. Thank you so much, my pet. Thank you.
recently, a new challenger appeared. Someone that you may be familiar with. Let me give you a hint. He's a Minecrafter. He's one of the massive
Dream?
creators from the Dream SMP. He wears glasses. And he's rocking an iconic
Wilbur.
Gen Z haircut. I'm talking, of course, about... No, Wilbur, no! Bad Wilbur, no! It's not about you. Get out of here, Wilbur. Get! Not every Minecrafter-led ARG is about you and your weird acoustic guitar songs. Get out of here!
Sorry.
No, today's theory is about Ranboo.
Hi, I'm
Hi, Ranboo.
Ranboo. Glad I just
Hi,
decided to
Ranboo.
look that one up. And his new series, Generation Loss. Now, seeing Ranboo take on an ARG shouldn't be that big of a surprise to anyone familiar with his work over on the Dream SMP. Once he joined the server, he quickly became a fan favorite thanks to his clever backstory involving memory loss, memory journals, and his immediately iconic Ender Walks, where his Enderman half takes over his body temporarily. He even launched an entire ARG focusing around Ender Walking back in early 2021. Looking back on it, you guys actually hit me up a fair bit on Twitter to cover it. Follow me at MattPatGT, by the way, if you want to do that. Even though I tend not to respond, I'm always looking at the stuff you send because, well, you have great ideas. But in this case, we didn't wind up doing it because... Why didn't I end up doing it? What was I doing back then? I mean, I know we were busy because we were starting St. Jude planning, but what was it? I was apparently busy talking about the KFC console, GameStop stock, and Logan Paul. So instead of covering a Minecraft ARG coming out of the most popular thing in gaming at the time, I covered the stock market and YouTuber boxing.
Not a great plan.
Yeah,
Not a good plan.
choices were made, but hey, at least the KFC episode won us a streamy. Needless to say, Ranboo is well versed in cryptic storytelling and ARGs. And unlike our coverage of the Wilbur Soot ARG, we're not 3 years late this time.
Yay!
Right now, there's only one video available, released about a month ago.
Sorry.
For once, we are on the cutting edge. So strap in,
1
theorists,
month
because
ago.
we're about to go down a rabbit hole of government conspiracy, media control, and manipulation of the mind. All
Alright, so it's gonna get dark real soon. I'm sorry.
in 28 seconds.
Emergency broadcast.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled theory for an important announcement. Again, this is not a test. New Theoryware is available now. The Conspiracy Collection. Do you have a theory? Let people know with this, the Skywatchers t-shirt. Do you have a love for emergency alerts? Just like
Yeah,
this one?
come on.
Wear one on your chest with this super soft raglan. Want both of them together? Save money by buying the Conspira T bundle. Yes, we are very proud of that pun. Or you can control the airwaves for yourself with our emergency alert hoodie. Use the airwaves to spread your own message. The message of, I look and feel great.
Also, you notice that zipper pocket detail here on the sleeve and the green strap with a D-ring on the pocket? Yep, definitely requested those as part of the design myself. I think it adds like a little extra style. Pretty proud of them.
And this is your final warning that our alien goo lava lamp is nearly sold out. There's only 100 left of the 2,000 that we produced. So abduct yours today before you miss the chance. Head on over to theoryware.com to become part of the conspiracy today. We now rejoin your regularly scheduled programming already in progress.
Although the first video of Generation Loss was just posted on May 1st of 2022, it was first announced by Ranboo all the way back in July of 2021 with 2 potential names. As he said on his Discord, quote, currently thinking about 2 titles, Generation Loss or The Lost
two different titles, Generation Loss and The Lost Field Incident Number 1.
Field Incident Number 1. Obviously, he went with the first option, but remember the second one. That's gonna come into play later. Now, why would the title be important? What exactly is meant by generation loss? Well, basically, generation loss is the loss of quality that happens each time something gets copied. Think about it like making Xerox copies at a copy machine. The first one is pretty clear, but if you make a copy of the copy, the quality devolves. If you continue to make more and more copies, more and more details get lost and things start to degrade. And this seems to be the exact definition that Ranboo intended. As he clarified again on his Discord, quote, basically, you know how VHS tapes never record the original footage super correctly? There are always slight impurities in each recording and copy. What generation loss is when each imperfection is exaggerated with each new copy until you get some really cool distortion effects. And
so it's something similar to like fake news, something similar to that. It's like day after day, weeks after weeks, month after month, year after year, decades after decades, century after century, people start to forget the details.
end quote. For a great example, here's a Nesquik commercial in its first generation copy, and here it is 9 generations later. Nothing changed, it was just a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. But you see how information gets lost and distorted over time. Also, it was today o'clock when I realized that I am truly the granddad of YouTube. I bet so many of you are only familiar with VHS tape effects in YouTube videos or indie horror games at this point.
I feel bad that I actually know about it, man. It's like I'm old.
Man, I'm old. Anyway, based on the name alone, we know that this series is going to focus on the idea of degradation of information over time. The more something is copied and passed on, the more distorted and messed up it gets. Gotta say, we're already off to an intriguing start, and we haven't even watched the video yet, which means it's probably time to do just that. As the video begins, we see an old CRT.
Wait, the video title is 1. 1.
TV displaying static until words begin to flash. Don't hide, don't escape, don't talk, don't conform, don't hesitate. We then get 5 censored images that flash past the screen multiple times in rapid succession before devolving back into static with the final lines, learn the history, find the founder. The word kill flashes out briefly over the word find to give us the alternate text of kill the founder. It's short, but it's dense, which is exactly the way to kick off something like this. So let's figure out what's going on, starting with the 5 mysterious images. In the second image, we can see a large room with the generation loss symbol in red on the back wall. A number of people with blacked out faces sit at desks around the room, and one person has a red square blocking their face. The fact that both the square and the symbol are in red when everything else we see is in black and white is telling us that there's a connection between these two things. It seems to suggest that the person with their face covered in red is working for whatever generation loss is, in which case, I needed to see who is behind that big red block. So
I just love it, the man. I just like, let's take out the red color one, is another red color one, another red color one, another red color. I'm sorry.
I started reverse image searching and found that this is a photo from the University of Leipzig in Germany. More specifically, it's the very first dedicated psychology lab founded in 1879 by the father of experimental psychology, Wilhelm Wundt. I have to admit,
Wow, 1879, 2 centuries ago. Wow, that's like before my grandfather's grandfather? Maybe.
I wasn't able to figure out who exactly the man with his face blocked out in red was, but that's not really surprising. It's a university lab. Wundt would have had many students come and go through the years. Some of his students did go on to become psychologists in their own right, but I couldn't trace any of them back to the specific image. The good news is, though, I'm not exactly sure it matters who the person is. It's actually about the fact that this person is studying under Wilhelm Wundt in the first place. One of Wundt's big studies was on the idea of generation effects on memory. Something tells me we might be on the right track. Generation effects are, quote, the advantage in memory for information that's produced, i.e. generated, by the participant as opposed to another person. Basically the idea that if you form your own idea or memory, you're more likely to remember it accurately as opposed to a memory made by someone else and then told to you. Lines up pretty darn nicely with the theme of the series, generation loss, the distortion of memory across time. It also begins to connect the dots when it comes to the text at the end of the video, learn the history. Maybe people are forgetting the real history of this world, instead only remembering what they've been told, a distorted version of the truth. Generation over generation, history is being forgotten, therefore generation loss. That may seem like I'm clutching at straws for an answer, but the fourth picture ties into the narrative too. It's a picture of a classroom from the 1940s with the generation loss symbol on the chalkboard, and the teacher's face blocked out in red, similar to the last image. I reverse image searched again, and it led me to Getty Images, and Getty wasn't giving me a whole lot of information about this photo other than it's a London classroom from 1947. So I kept...
So once again, it's 1 century ago. Okay, It's old.
Digging around for uses of the image. Not a whole lot. I actually struggled to find this image anywhere across the internet except for one article from a liberal news site in the United Kingdom called The Independent. But what's more important is the subject of the article. Parents complaining about a new curriculum being implemented into UK schools. One specifically focused on rote memorization of facts rather than critical thinking and problem solving. To quote from the article, the new methodology was going to focus on memorizing, quote, endless lists of spelling facts and rules which will not develop children's ability to think, including problem solving, critical understanding, and creativity. In short, the problem with this new proposed curriculum was that people were being told what they should learn, what they should remember, and not thinking for themselves. The idea that memory is being dictated by someone else, an external force. So again, just like with the previous photo, we see the recurring theme of memory and control, how memories get inserted into our heads and how they stick there. And this may be me interpreting the picture a bit too literally, but in the edited version of the photo, the chalkboard has the generation loss symbol on it. They're teaching the children about this regime, whatever this altered history and facts are. These kids are being raised to believe that truth, not develop critical thinking for themselves to find the facts on their own. The Independent isn't the only newspaper that seems to have importance in this mystery either. The second one comes from this image, an old painting with the face once again censored by a red square. This was a painting of Richard Potter, a British businessman turned politician and writer for one of Britain's biggest newspapers, The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper was actually born out of a desire to push the liberal ideas of a group called the Little Circle, a group
Stop for a moment first. I just love it that this ARG that Mappa is covering talk about critical thinking. It's like as you grow older, as you age up, as you grow up, as you mature, when you enter into your teenage years, young adults, you start to recognize that the fairy tales in your when you are learning back in school doesn't actually make sense. Like for example, I grew up watching 孙悟空《西游记》. It's like wow, there's 小白龙, there is 唐僧藏, there is 孙悟空, there is 猪八戒. All this is good. They teach good morals on to develop, to nurture, to grow, to improve on the kids so that they can become good adults. But as you grow older, I recognize that it's not feasible that this entire story is true. Parts and parcel of it might be true, but yeah, let's take the good side of it. It's a good fairy tale. It's a good fairy tale to help nurture the next generation, but don't take it too literally. Critical thinking is important.
With good old Richard Potter as a founding member. This group's main objective was to get fair representation in government, which at the time was controlled by an elite few due to corruption in the English Parliament. In fact, government corruption was such a big issue in this era that on August 16th, 1819, a crowd gathered in St. Peter's Field in Manchester, England to protest for parliamentary reform.
Wait for a moment first. 1819 is 2 centuries ago, so yeah.
Stop the protesters, the Royal Cavalry charged into the crowd and ultimately killed 15 people. This horrible event would come to be known as the Peterloo Massacre. Making matters worse, after this event, the government passed the 6 Acts, a move that was aimed at suppressing any meeting about radical reform. Now,
but having said that, please do recognize that this happened 200 years ago, so let's take it with a grain of salt. Thank you so much. Maybe my grandparents were not even born yet, the kind of age.
Why would any of this matter? Well, the place where that massacre happened, St. Peter's Field, it doesn't exist anymore. It's now paved over and has been rebranded as St. Peter's Square. Remember that other title Ranboo was considering for the ARG, Lost Field Incident number 1? Considering that St. Peter's Field, where the whole Peterloo Massacre occurred, is now gone, I suppose you could call that a lost field incident. But even more interesting, when the people of the UK wanted recognition of what happened on this site, the first plaque that the government issued read as follows, quote, an assembly of around 60,000 people. Their subsequent dispersal by the military is remembered as Peterloo. They called charging at protesters and killing 15 of them a dispersal. Are you seeing the connections now? Another image referencing the manipulation of people's memories of events that have happened. The plaque is exactly that. And the fact that the government changed the laws to stop people like Richard Potter from gathering the masses to their cause seems to match the ideas that we've been seeing so far throughout this entire video. This then starts to explain the first major image that we see. A man with his mouth being covered by a hand with the generation loss symbol on it. Someone being silenced by whatever generation loss is. Who this person is clearly important, as we're specifically given the initials from his pocket handkerchief. Looks to be TZ or JZ. Not Jay-Z international rap superstar, though that would be an unexpected twist. No, instead, after digging through a bunch of United Kingdom-based newspaper history, I think it might be referencing journalist Tony Zapponi, TZ.
I just love it that MatPat can just insert a few jokes into the video. It's like something so serious, something so deadly, something so lethal, and it's a small joke. Yeah.
He has been a contributor to The Guardian in the past, but was mostly known as a photographer. In fact, his pictures of former President John F. Kennedy taken 4 days before the JFK assassination were important pieces of evidence in that investigation. Considering that that's an event that also has its fair share of crazy theories, I wouldn't be surprised if TZ and that event were all wrapped up into this ARG. Admittedly, it's a huge stab and a half in the dark. The initials are really the only thing that I had to go off of, but honestly, it's the best I could come up with that also fit within the existing themes that I'm getting from this mystery. Regardless of who he is, though, the fact that the Generation Loss symbol is the one covering TZ's mouth is telling us that Generation Loss are the ones trying to control the narrative, and not in a good way. But
Controlling the narrative for centuries? That's... wow.
importantly, the tape is telling us don't conform, like a rebel group trying to communicate with its members. Learn the history would imply that the history that people of this world know isn't the real history, but a history that's been altered. We even see this at the very end of the tape. As I mentioned before, we have the phrase find the founder, which is temporarily replaced with a new phrase, kill the founder. The word kill appearing in a different red font. Someone has sabotaged the tape, and the color red connects it back to the red logo of Generation Loss. In short, this seems like it's a battle between two groups. Generation Loss, an organization or entity that's trying to silence free thinkers and control the narrative of history, and another group that stands for remembering the truth. One group seeking the truth, and another one trying to silence it or bury it with misinformation. However, that still leaves us with one final image. This one. Of course, I did a reverse image search only to find that this picture is of the one and only Mitt Romney, a Republican US senator who ran for president twice, first in 2008 and again in 2012. This picture is actually from his high school yearbook. Super random, right? We have 5 photos that are supposed to represent this mystery. 4 of them are much older and have to do with psychology, uprisings around reform, education. What on earth does any of this have to do with the modern politician Mitt Romney?
I don't know.
Wasn't particularly sure until I looked at the Generation Loss Twitter account, that is. On the 14th of May, it posted an image on a static screen with the number 2 on it. The caption says, "To the Inauguration," and that's when it hit me. This high school photo of Mitt Romney was used widely during his run for president back in 2012. The story that broke around this was that he was a rather nasty piece of work back during his high school years, bullying a fellow student relentlessly. This, along with a number of other things, became a huge smear to his presidential campaign. But on this VHS tape, the image is once again obscured by red bars, trying to stop people recognizing the face and learning where the photo came from and why. It seems to me to be another attempt to control the narrative, to distort the history, allowing Generation Loss to continue with their plans. Romney was running as the Republican candidate against Barack Obama in 2012, and we've been talking a lot about the silencing of liberal figures throughout this ARG thus far. The fact
But you must remember, right now it's near 2022. 2012 is a decade ago. Yeah, 1 decade ago.
that part 2 is called The Inauguration makes me wonder if this is an alternate reality situation, one where Romney's past actions are buried by Generation Loss and he is actually the one elected president in this reality. What would be the larger goal in doing this? Honestly, not sure. Might need more than 28 seconds of video to figure it out. But there is one last piece of information that I wanted to mention. Whatever's happening with Generation Loss in the VHS tape, it's not the present day. Before Ranboo even released the first video, on his Discord, he released an audio teaser. It's a recording of a phone call where someone has found a box of old VHS tapes.
The box looks pretty new, actually. So it looks like it was like just put in here like 5 years ago, I'd give it. Well, yeah, of course I'm going to play them. I just have to figure out how to use a cassette tape.
Once
Yeah, how to use a cassette tape. Man, I feel old. I feel very, very old.
again, making me feel old as heck. Oh, you
Me
poor Zoomers
too!
and your streaming services, never having to know the phrase, "please be kind, rewind." But this teaser actually reminds me of an image that appears over on Twitter. A VHS tape on the desk. Someone is investigating Generation Loss, trying to figure out what's going on, just like we are now. The story is actually following their journey. We're essentially being put in their shoes while we watch and break down these videos. On that desk, we also have the date November 4th, 1990, along with a comic strip from Malcolm Hancock's The Lumpets. Clearly, these are going to be important for the investigation, but I couldn't find any relevant information about the date or the comic. Maybe we'll find out more in future episodes. So there you have it, friends. A story of a rebel group trying to rise up to take on the Generation Loss conspiracy, rising from the same ideals of Richard Potter and the Little Circle, determined to teach people the truth, to open their eyes to what the government is really doing, the rise to power of this controlling organization, their alteration of history and manipulation of society, and all of it tied up in an investigation investigation from the modern day where maybe generation loss is still in control. All of that from a 28-second video. A really solid start to what I expect to be a really exciting ARG. Your move, Ranboo! Part 2 is teased as coming soon. Regardless of whether I'm right or wrong, I seriously cannot wait to see what you do next.
I just love it that Matt is like, mentioned it thoroughly. It's like, this video is less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute.
Remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you find this video very, very unique and special to watch. Matt really dive into this theory, this video, this less than a minute video. So yeah, very shocking, very surprising, and I'm looking forward to a part 2 as well. Thank you so much, my pet, and thank you so much to the team behind this video. You guys did a very incredible job, actually. Well, anyways, if you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share bars. Down below. Don't forget to follow my channel. I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Thank you. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye. Subscribe.